From Wall Street to Main Street to help small business owners have the same capital as corporate America and give them the same resources as a larger company. We cover business funding, business credit, scaling, business consulting, and much more. Check out the website at shieldadvisorygroup.com. Welcome to the show, The Liquid Lunch Project.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew R. Meehan, alongside my partner, the Professor Luigi Rosa Bianca. What's on tap today, Lou?
Matt, I don't want you getting excited because our next guest may give you some flashbacks to your early 90s when you were dancing in the clubs of New York City. Today's guest, Peter Schroeder, from European DJ fame to radio and TV reporter, and now CEO and founder of Telzio. Peter, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for appearing. Peter, is there some sort of secret sauce to success? Because you've gone from industry to industry, and everywhere you've gone, you've succeeded. What's the secret?
Have fun and only do the things you're good at. That's really it.
Yeah, words of wisdom.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, it's. I only do things that I'm good at. You won't see me play soccer or anything like that. So people say, why are you good at these things? Well, that's because I only do those things, and then I put a lot of time into it.
So, Peter, you started DJing as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're running Telzio, which is a unified communications company. First of all, tell us what a unified communications company is, and then tell us if what you learned in the clubs DJing was that you were able to segue that into the corporate world.
Yeah, well, that's actually an easy question because I feel like it's very much the same. When you're a DJ, especially in the early years, you are your everything. So you have to do everything from booking to bookkeeping to, of course, performing to tour planning to all these different things. So it's like running a company. You get a really good primer right there. And if you are good at it, then you'll also make it far. Of course, you got to have some skills in the actual craft, but you are very much your own business. And I was talking to a good friend of mine about that recently, and he was like, why is it that we see so many of our old colleagues on big positions in big companies around the world, really? And that's why. Either you continue in music if you're really that interested in that industry, or you go do something else, but it's usually very business related.
Peter, do you think there's a little bit of reading the crowd and knowing the consumer? Because I could imagine you start playing a song and you realize that the crowd isn't responding, and you have to pivot quickly. You can make that analogy with business and the consumer and a product that maybe isn't just working out.
Mm-hmm. You always keep the eye on the ball, right? When I started out probably when I was like 17, 18, 19 years old, and I got my first real club gigs in a bigger city, that city particularly had a bar street where there was no cover entrance, any fee to pay to get into any of the bars or clubs there. That means that if you're playing a bad song and you lose half the crowd through that song because, hey, you can just go to the next bar where they play the good music, if you lose half your crowd, then no one else coming in the rest of the night will stay. They'll just poke their head in and say, oh, there's no party in here. Let's go to the next place. So you lose the entire night in literally less than 3 minutes. So you learn to keep the eye on the ball, and you learn to know that, hey, put yourself aside, put your pride aside. Doesn't matter if you make a good mix right now. What matters is that your colleagues have their wages for the night.
Peter, just so that the audience understands the context here, we're not talking about wedding crashing DJs. We're talking about selling out huge European arenas and venues to sold out houses.
Yeah. I did good, and it's I was in that for a long time. I think I played maybe almost 15 years professionally. And started out really small, just worked my way up. It's like any other business. You gotta crawl before you can walk.
Now, Peter, what is Telzio?
It's if you really boil it down, it's a phone company, right? We provide business phone service. We have a platform that we built ourselves that is just a one-stop solution where it's all cloud hosted, and you can go there and you can get everything you need for a business in terms of telecommunications.
Now, Peter, let's do a little bit of a deep dive. Why do I need to go to Telzio? Why can't I go to Verizon, to T-Mobile, to all these big houses? Why would a small business owner tend to go to a Telzio?
Well, so first of all, it's a good product. I mean, we have a great product, and we don't go down. We haven't been down since 2016. So there's all these like standard things. We have all the features that you need, all that stuff. But the other guys also have that. I think the main thing is really that we just do business differently. I made the product and the company because I needed it myself. I was doing another project and I needed a phone service, and I couldn't find anything that was, first of all, affordable and fit all the bills, but also this thing about how everyone else has this, you pay per user, but then you have to upgrade to get the features you need, and you gotta get to enterprise plans to get this SSO, which you really need in terms of security. Everyone should have that. That just rubs me the wrong way. So this whole thing about why is it that big businesses that have already made it and made a ton of money, why do they get the features that make them competitive? Like this, it should be everyone. So that's kind of how I started Telzio. Is you sign up and then you get an account and you get all the features that you need from day one, just the same exact features as the big customers we have. I mean, we have Samsung, Facebook, Airbnb, and those kind of companies, right? They get the same features that you do as a startup. And then, you pay for the usage. So it doesn't matter if you have 50 employees and 30 of them rarely makes any calls, then you don't have to pay for them. Like you only pay for the calls that you make.
Now, Peter, explain to us a little bit how the cloud-based telephone business works. Is it just a usage arbitrage? You're buying certain minutes in usage and then passing that savings down to the consumer?
No, not really. So it goes a little deeper than that.
Great.
We are a real phone service provider. So we are actually registered with the FCC. We have our own number series and those kind of things. So we are actually on the same level as the carriers. Of course, there's certain areas that we don't have any coverage in ourselves with our own service, and then we do peering with our competitors essentially, and that's the law that was created in 1994 that they're obliged to peer with you and provide their service to you at the same cost as they it's cost them to run it essentially. So that's essentially how it works, and then we have of course our own platform. We the software and all that stuff is things that we wrote ourselves. So we're in control of the entire call and not just buying something from a middleman that if they go down, then we go down. We don't want to do that.
So, Peter, how did you go from spinning records to building software? How does one make that shift?
Well, I never make that shift. I've been doing that since I was 6 years old. I got a computer when I was 6, and my friends wanted to play video games. I wanted to find out how you built that video game. So I built my first website in, I think, 1994, when the internet just started becoming a thing, and I had some friends that were good at drawing. And I was like, you should put that online. That's what people do now. So I made a little website where they could do that, and then other people started submitting, and all of a sudden I had a social media for artists before there was any social media. And I sold that in 94, and then I started my record label from there on, and even when I had that, I was still writing the software for running that label. So it's not a shift I really made. It was really just an idea. Like I said, I had another project I was working on. I needed a phone service, couldn't find one. I'll build it myself. I have major ADD, so I'll do everything that's fun. And I just kept doing that, and I forgot to go back to playing gigs.
So how do you go from saying, all right, I need this for myself, to landing, your big clients like Samsung and Facebook? Talk to us about that.
Well, yeah, that's it kind of just happened, but and that sounds weird, right? So the thing is, when we started out, we didn't have investors. My wife and I had just started dating. No one's going to invest in a couple that is dating, that just met each other, right? That's the one thing, and no one is gonna invest in someone who's building a company to compete against AT&T. No. So we thought for the first couple of years that we had to go out and raise money, but when we found out that's probably not going to happen, at least not the scale that we need, we needed to find out how do we do it then, and buying ads is not an option for us. It's $700-800 per click for an ad in our industry, and we the math adds up if you have the capital up front, but we didn't, right? So we had to figure out what we do, And for us, it was just SEO. We got really, really, really good at SEO, so we landed on that first, spot on Google for the keywords we needed. Because the problem about what we do is you can't just cold call someone and sell them a phone system. It's the numbers don't really add up. People are like, why do I need that right now? I don't want to deal with that. It's kind of like calling someone and asking if they want to buy a house. So we found out, well, we need to be in front of them when they're looking, and that's SEO. And so from the beginning, we just slowly, started getting a little bit of traction by posting about it on some message boards online. And then we grew, we got a couple of customers, and every time we got some customers or bigger customers than we had last time, they asked for some features, we built them, and then we attracted even bigger customers. And eventually, one day, I think the first of them was Netflix signed up.
So how did that happen? Talk to us about that, because that must have been exciting for you when you guys found out it was Netflix.
Yeah, it was super exciting. They just signed up. We just saw someone creating an account with a netflix.com email address. And the same thing was when Facebook signed up, and Google and Samsung and Airbnb and Lyft, SoundCloud, all these companies, these big name brands. Every time we see those come in, it's really exciting. Everyone's just, did you see? And everyone's yelling at the office.
We don't believe in coincidence, and we don't believe in accidents. So when these business owners, these operations managers are looking for a cloud-based phone system, what makes Telzio so attractive? What's the compelling pitch?
I think it's really the ease of use. It's very straightforward. You can do everything yourself. I mean, we have just a couple of supporters. I think we have 3 or 4 now that's taking care of hundreds of thousands of users, and that's just because it's so easy to use that you don't need supporters. And then again, like I said before, it doesn't go down. We haven't been down since 2016. So when there's no problems, there's not a use for support, right? And I think that's what really attracts businesses. It's you need to be able to do things yourself. And if you need a supporter, then you want someone who's actually know what they're doing and not just following a script, right? And I think really that's it's taking away those pain points, because at the end of the day, phone service is phone service. You need the phone to work, and you need to to be able to receive calls, and you need to have the features. But when there's something wrong, you need to make sure that it gets fixed right away.
So everybody's familiar with text messaging, voicemail. Obviously, most people are having stuff shift over to their mobile. What do you see coming in the future for telephony in general? What are the features?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot happening at the moment. So, of course, AI. I almost don't have to say that, right? We started building our AI in 2017 and just been waiting for the tech to be ready. So there's some obvious things, where you can set up a bot that talks to your customer and knows everything. It's trained on all your support tickets and help documents and emails from day one, right? So basically like having an employee that knows everything.
So let's break that down for a second. Let's unpack that a little bit. So let's say not a big company. We're not talking about, a Facebook or a Netflix. Let's talk about, Joe, the plumber down the block, wants to come in, says, listen, I hear about this new AI thing. What do I have to do? How do I get started? What do you do?
Right.
How do you train them?
Well, so again, it's so easy to use because everyone kind of has a system for their communication with their businesses. So let's say it's support tickets or sales cases or something like. You have a CRM and you probably also have a support ticket system. So we hook into that, and you connect Telzio with that system, and we go in and basically analyze the emails that you've had in the past. To find out how, well, the AI does, to find out how is it that you communicate with your customers, what's the tone of voice, and also basically gather a lot of information. And then on top of that, scan your website for documentation and all these different things. You can plug in different sources. And then from there on, we built an AI for you that knows all of that and can talk to your customer.
So basically, you're taking the whole human element out of the equation, which this AI employee is going to know more about your business than probably most CEOs and owners, because they probably forgot, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no doubt. And to talk about Joe the plumber, I had an experience myself about a year ago. I was buying a car, and I'd been out test driving it and all that stuff, and then I was kind of set on this is going to be the one, but I was going to go home and think about it overnight. So I got the business card from the dealer, and when I got home, I sent him an email saying, "Hey, what would it cost if I upgrade to the model with the bigger engine? What would that price be?" And there was just tumbleweed, no, like crickets, literally. I didn't hear anything. Then the next day, I went down. Sorry.
Yeah, so you were in buying mode right there. You needed that answer because you would have said yes right away.
I would have, yeah. I already knew I was going to buy that car, right? So the next day I went down to a different dealership, a different brand, but essentially the same car. Test drove that and bought it right away. They had the one I wanted. They answered my questions. And then 2 weeks later, I got an email back from this dealer, and it was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I missed your email. Here's, do you still need that information?" No, I've already bought a car. So the thing is, he could have sold a car if he just replied to my email, right? Email was the thing I wanted to communicate with. I could have called him. I had his phone number on the business card, but I felt like emailing him at that point.
Mm-hmm. But Pete, that's the perfect example on sometimes why people are so negative about artificial intelligence. But sometimes what it does is it avoids real ignorance. And
exactly.
That's what humans provide.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. He could have sold a car if he had an AI, scanning his email and just replying back, because that's definitely a question an AI bot could have answered. You have the information, prices and all that. So it's just mind blowing to me, and that's actually also touched on one of the other things that's happening, like you asked before, is you have to be where your customer is now. Like there's not this thing about you can just post a phone number and an email address and some opening hours and that's it. You have to answer your customers where they want to communicate with you, because it's them setting the day. And if you don't, then they will go somewhere else. There's no doubt.
Oh, 100%. I agree with that. If somebody sends me a text, you text them back. That's the form they want to communicate with you on, whether it's email, exactly. If it's on social media platform. You don't want to take them off one platform, because then you're just creating friction.
Exactly. And that's hard for Joe the plumber. How can he monitor his email and his texts and his WhatsApp and his Instagram messaging and Twitter and Facebook and all these different ways that your customers essentially could communicate with you on? How do you do that and actually focus on your job? That's hard.
Now, does Telzio do that now, or is that a feature that's coming out inside of the future?
So that's our next product that we're launching, or the next upgrade to the product. And essentially what we're doing is we're figuring out how do we correlate that information, because we also want to know that it's Joe calling me and then also tweeted at me and also emailed me. We want to know that that's the same person. If have a history of the communication. So
that's going to be a game changer, Peter.
I hope so. I think it is.
Are you gonna are you guys using like an Air AI type system where it actually sounds like almost like a human that would answer and book appointments and
yeah. So that's actually funny, because we have gotten it to the point where so fast that we can start replying to you before you're even done talking. The thing is, we do voice to text transcription of what you're saying in real time, word by word, and then we go back and change the context a little bit if we find out that it's about something else. But as we're doing that, we're feeding that partial sentence into the AI, and it starts actually reacting to it and coming up with the response as it gets word by word. And we can reply and we can make that text back to speech in less than 80 milliseconds.
Wow.
So it's actually annoying because it's kind of like someone interrupting you all the time, So we had to put in this,
imagine an AI conversation where the AI is telling them, "I know you want me to be there Monday afternoon. Yeah, we'll be there after work. I got you."
Exactly. That's how it is. And
you're just gonna say hello, hello. Okay, you're all set.
Yeah. That's exactly how. So we put in these artificial pauses, and then we found out that it actually freaks people out, because we have a really good voice. It sounds really legit, and it's one that we worked on for a while. And we put in like these little imperfections so that it doesn't sound like a robot. There's like a little and just the way the pronunciations of the different words. But we found out that's not a good thing. People feel really weird talking to someone who's a bot but doesn't sound like a bot. So we actually had to go back to make it a little bit more bottish.
So what's the most favored bot voice? Does it have like a Midwest inflection? Is it male? Is it female?
I think the one that wins in our office is a female. I think she's British-ish, maybe Australian. There's like maybe a mix, and then she has a little bit of that Britney Spears sound. I can't make it.
I think most high school boys prefer that as well.
Next time we're gonna have you play it when we're on the air. That'd be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, anybody British, for some reason, I don't know what it is, they always go like 10 points higher on the IQ scale for me, just when they open their mouth.
Yeah, it's weird, huh? Like, and I actually heard something about that the British accent or dialect, if you will, is imported or it's created. The British, when they, back in the day when the Americans came from Britain, they talked like we do here, and then that weird British posh thing came later. I don't know if it's true, but
all right. So we had
I like the story.
all right. So we covered AI. We got that on the forefront. What else? What else are you seeing? What are the big guys asking you for right now at this point in time?
Well, I think the main thing obviously is AI, but I think the main other thing is that being able to handle other channels essentially than just text and talk. Of course, we fax, text, and talk. That's what we do today. But being able to have everything in the same platform and knowing that the same person is talking to you and not having to worry about how they're communicating with you, because that's really irrelevant to Joe the plumber. Like, you just need to, if it's something in text, you need to write a text back, or that doesn't matter if that's a tweet or it's a personal note, or what. Maybe there needs to be a little log on it so it's a personal thing. But it doesn't matter if it's a tweet or text. Really, you just need to write it. Or if it's a call, it doesn't matter if it's WhatsApp or if it's a phone call. It could be anything.
Yeah.
So
one platform to manage all that would make my life so much easier.
Yeah, and there's always been that whole thing about it's called omni-channel, but I don't like that word for this because it's not really omni-channel. It's channel agnostic, because omni-channel is where you can plug in a bunch of different channels and then you can communicate. But this is more than that. You don't have to worry about what it is, how you're communicating. You really just have to communicate, right? And you need something that then figures out who it is that you're talking to at the same time.
Managed correspondence.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So, Pete, how did a nice Danish boy end up in LA?
Well, there's always a girl. Right. Yeah, I met my wife in Vegas on a trip out here. I was DJing in Vegas, and she's from LA, and she didn't like the winter in Denmark when she first came over. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll come over here. Now I've been here for 12 years.
Do you find transacting business in America is easier, especially for growth, than doing so in Europe?
There's a bigger market. And I don't think we could have grown this company to where it is today if we were in Denmark. We do have an office in Denmark, and you can work, across boundaries. We have people everywhere in the world working for us. But I think, just the market is so much bigger, and it's easier to penetrate that market when it's so big and it's the same language and somewhat same culture. There's something to that. I think. Running a business, the whole operations and bureaucracy is a lot easier in Denmark than it is here.
Are you saying that's specific to California or in general?
I think in general, and especially when I think about the telecom industry, the bureaucracy is insane. Every single
you're an
city
industry
has
that's
its own tax.
highly regulated.
Yeah, it's wild. And then to compare, I mean, I would say we probably had to file at least 20 different licenses just to get our telecom license in the US. And in Denmark, I just did it in 20 minutes, signed up online with my digital ID that every Danish person has. And then I was a telecom provider and I got our own number series. Of course, you have to provide some information, but yeah, there's a difference there for sure.
So the barrier to entry in the communication space in America is high.
Yeah, it's extremely high, and I think the reason why we've even been able to do it is because we started out small and we really didn't focus on trying to compete against the big guys from day one. We just tried to make a good product that worked for a few people and see if someone signed up and we could pay our bills. And then slowly over the years, the snowball just started getting bigger and bigger.
So how many employees do you guys have right now?
We're really small, compared at least. Again, goes back to that thing about support, right? I think we're like 30 people, and probably a tenth of what our competitors are with the same amount of customers. But I don't like managing people. I'm an engineer, and as weird as it sounds, I'm actually kind of introverted. I don't want to talk to people. I just want them to find out what it is that I'm thinking, pick it out of my brain, and go do it. So the fewer people I can have, the better. So I just have some really, really, really smart people on my team that I pay really, really well, so they stick around. and that's kind of the secret to it. Yeah.
You don't want to be involved in the party. You just want to stand and DJ and
Yeah,
watch everybody have
it's
the fun.
true. You know what? It's true because when I started out, the DJs weren't, there was no spot. If you could hide the DJs in the back office and just have them sit out there, that was what you would do back then. It wasn't about fame and being on a stage. It was never about that for me. It was about seeing people having a good time and being able to give them a great night. So it's never about that for me. I'm very introverted because I have crazy stage fright.
That's changed throughout the last 15 years, huh? DJ.
Oh, it's a
There's
completely
super
different game.
celebrities now.
I mean, it's all about who has the most influence. The most followers online. Really, it's who can have the biggest follower account, so they can bring in the most people when they get a gig. It doesn't matter how they play. It's not about that anymore. That's kind of weird to me.
Hey, Pete, I'm sure that across the your history in communications, you've studied the history of telephone and communications in America, and it's dysfunctional. Where is communications going in America?
Well, it's going away. At least phone service. I don't think that's also basically what I'm saying. I don't think us being a phone service provider for much longer. That's not our brand. We're going over to everything communications provider, because you can't just do phone service anymore. And people talk less and less on the phone. It's need to be where your customers are, and that's usually not on the phone unless you just need a quick question answered, and you can't find any other means, and that business doesn't check their whatever it is. But people's preference is less about phones now, and I think that's changing a lot now.
So where do you see all the big boys? Like, I mean, just AT&T, for example, they are maybe a fraction of where they were 10 years ago in breadth and as well as valuation. What happens to the big communications operators?
Well, there's still infrastructure. You got to remember that all the other means don't work unless there's internet. So someone's got to run that internet, and the internet requirements or capacity doubles every year, and has been doing that since '92.
So they just become very large utility companies.
Kind of, yeah. Of course, they have some consumer products. Everyone's going to have consumer products. Like I mentioned before, we are a consumer product, or we're not. We're a business, a B2B product, but we are, at the end of the day, a product. We're not a utility. So I think there's going to be a distinction there, and I think the big guys are probably going to do both.
I think Apple said within the next, I think it's 7 years, they're looking to discontinue the iPhone, and we're going to have some other type of device or something. What do you think that's going to look like?
Well, I think the whole thing about being able to, wearables, obviously, but you kind of saw it with the Apple Watch, and you get everything you have on your watch. I think that's just going to be even more integral of you. If it's a little thing you put behind your ear, and then you see it in front of you, like with the new Google glasses, but just not wearing them, right? That technology has been worked on for the past 15, 20 years, and they're pretty far with it already. There's a company, I forget what it's called, but that both Apple and Facebook and a lot of other big businesses have invested billions of dollars in that no one's heard of, really. But essentially putting a little thing behind your ear and affecting your brain waves and showing you things. I think that's probably where it's going to go.
The key may also be in connecting all those, right? Just making a continuous transition from your car, which may have that usage, then to your ear or to your glasses or to your baseball cap. I think it's that uninterrupted transition. Like every time Matt goes into a car, I can't hear him for a few seconds, and vice versa, right? Yeah. So who knows how that evolves?
Yeah, I mean, we already see it right now. Our customers are using less and less their desk phone and use our mobile app because, hey, I already have a cell phone on me, and I have that with me. I don't want to have a business cell phone because then I have to carry two around. I just want my one, so I install the mobile app from us, and then you see your business calls coming in on your personal cell phone. I only have to wear one around or to bring one around, and I want to at least be able to go from my desk to that mobile app live when I'm on a call or take it anywhere I want. So those kind of features are already almost expected, I would say.
So Peter, Run me through some numbers here and tell me what's next. 20 platinum records, 40 gold records, a beautiful wife, 2 wonderful children, a successful communications business. Where's Peter going next?
I'm gonna have a hot dog stand at some point.
Keep it
It's true.
lean.
It's on my bucket list. I am. It's on my bucket. It's always been. I don't know. There's something about it. Just standing there and making hot dogs, making people happy for a little bit.
Do you see any trends since you're doing business all over the place, right? And you're not from here originally. Do you see anything trending in Europe right now that most people aren't paying attention to here in the US?
Well, I think in the whole political climate, I think it's a good indicator to look at some of the countries in Europe, what's going on there. I think it has been. I've seen certain things happen in Europe, in different countries, before happening in the US. And I think in general, it's like that. I think there are certain things, especially being from Scandinavia, there are certain things, they're very progressive about laws and different things there. And usually, if you look back historical, there's things happening there than before than they happen in the U.S. and then eventually they also move to Asia. It kind of goes that way around the globe, and that goes 200 years back. So there's definitely things that you can kind of look at what's going on that, and it kind of goes for everything really, that will happen in Europe and especially Scandinavia before happening in the U.S.
Hey, Pete, I have to ask, and I think you've been tiptoeing around the answer over the last half hour or so. What was your stage name as a DJ?
Well, I had a bunch different ones, but the one I ended up with at the peak of my career was Pete Fox.
What was it?
Pete Fox. I even have my little fox tattoo here. Still.
Pete Fox.
Yeah.
If you were DJing today, it could be Pete Silver Fox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's running a business. That's what that will do to you.
Hey, Pete, thank you so much for being here. We want to be respectful of your time. Can you tell everybody where they can find Telzio and you on the socials or online?
Yeah, so Telzio is just TELZ as in zebra, IO.com. And go there. There's a trial. Go sign up for it and play it around because, hey, it's actually fun to play with. I'm not kidding you. It's not a cheap trick, but it's really it is fun to play around. We have this like editor that's very like graphical user interface ish. But besides that, if you want to talk to me, I would love to hear from anyone. peterschroeder.com. There's all my information.
Awesome, Pete. Thank you so much. Last question before I let you run: are you an iPhone or an Android guy?
iPhone.
iPhone. Got it. Yeah. Pete, thank you, everybody. That's a wrap from the Liquid Lunch Project. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the show. And make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Liquid Lunch Project.